Hey guys, welcome back. How are y'all doing? Congratulations to all the students that went back to school. I know summer is officially over. I can't believe it. I don't even think I've gone swimming one time. How sad is that? It's all good. So tonight I wanted to talk about my testimony. I know that last week I had did a video just asking for any questions. What I really want to do is engage with each and one of y'all. I really don't want to be just recording and boring you with just sermons or telling you, supposedly how to live life or anything like that. I really want to connect with problem issues through your life, what you face. It could be, I don't know, maybe bullying, maybe abusive, verbal abusive, physical abusive, um, you know, um, dating problems, just life situations, spiritual battles, like different spirits that you deal with, how do you face them, or ask me how I faced them in the past, or how do I conquer, how did I become so determined with Christ. It's just stuff like that. I really want us to be more open. I want us to get connected other than me just, talking on my phone and pretty much just, talking about my life. I don't want to sound like a history book. I don't want to sound like a Bible book either, or just telling you how to live life or anything like that. I just really want us to be like as if we're sitting down at Starbucks having a cup of coffee, or just sitting down having lunch. I want this channel to be so casual that we're able to connect as if we're in physical, in front of each other. I want us to just be just open. So I just hope that, as the questions become coming through, sorry, as they becoming alive at what y'all face, I really want to connect with y'all. But tonight, I really want to talk about my testimony within these next few weeks. I really want y'all to know where I've come from. I think it all started in 2009. I faced something very tragic. I think it was the first thing that really opened my eyes to the Lord. Really told me, Chrisella, stop doing yourself and finally surrender to the Lord. Now, I've been in the church atmosphere all my life, but it doesn't necessarily mean like I've been serving God since birth. No, I've came from a council of churches. I have a lot of family background of pastors. But in 2009, I lost somebody special in my life. I lost my uncle, one of my mom's brothers. It was actually her baby brother. And that's something I can never erase, what I saw that night, what I witnessed that night. I think I was 17 at that time. And I was probably on my second year dating my husband at the time too. And I remember it was a Sunday morning, and it was the last day of spring break. And I knew I had school, in 2 more days. And I have received a phone call, and it was my grandma, and she wanted to speak to my mom. And I remember passing the phone to my mom, and just saying that, well, the thing is that my uncle name was Renee, and he had a son named Renee. And she just says, Renee got into a car accident. And so she got up and she woke us all up, and she was saying, hey, get ready because something had happened and we got to go to the hospital. So I started waking up my brother, my dad was waking up, and I remember moments later the second phone call came in, and this time it was my mom's cousin. And she was saying, let me talk to your mom, mija. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I passed the phone, and what made me so, I guess, I knew something was really wrong. I could never erase my mom's moan of a cry. It was like it was really loud, and as as if somebody pretty much took the life out of her, and at that very second. And looking at your mom in distress, what can you do? You're at 17 years old, and she was just she was screaming. She wasn't even herself no more. And all I remember her saying was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And when she hung up, I went to my brother's room and I was like, "Hey, something's not right. Mom's screaming." And at that very moment of that second phone call, I felt like life just stopped. Life was at a standstill. Like each minute was more like an hour. And I remember getting in the car, and my other grandma that lives next door to me, she prayed with us before we left. And my dad was driving to an area where my mom thought she was being drove to the hospital or her mom's house. And it was the Galleria area, and my dad was just driving, and my mom was like, she was terrified. She was screaming and not herself, and she was just saying, "Where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? You need to take me to my mom. You need to take me to my mom's, or take me to the hospital, wherever he's at. I want to see my brother." And for some reason, my dad knew, which I don't remember how he found out, but he drove us to the site. Now, I remember seeing my uncle at the time, a few months ago at that time, and it was at one of my aunt's baby showers. And that was the last time I saw him. And I remember his words were like, "Oh, mija, you look just like your mommy." And I didn't get to tell him bye that day or anything like that. I mean, from a distance, I told him bye, but that was the last time I had spoke to him and saw his face. I remember getting off the car and just running to the site. I saw nothing but sirens. I saw nothing but lights from the bottom underpass and the top of the freeway. And I was so confused. I was just like, what is going on? And when I got off the car, everybody went their ways. My mom and my brother and my dad went to go park the car. And all I remember is I saw a body under a white blanket. And my brain took it in, but it wasn't registering like what is going on. Until I saw one of my cousins, and he came up to me and he's like, "You okay?" And by then, everything went in, it snapped. I was like, wait a minute, that's my uncle. What happened? Moments later, I had found out that my uncle had fell down 17 feet down. He accidentally misplaced where he was walking, trying to jump the freeways because his son had gone into a hit and run. And he was trying to assist him in this situation, and it just went bad, and he didn't see that there was an opening of the two freeways, how they split. And at the time, that freeway was new, so when he stepped over, he ended up slipping down to his death. I remember sitting there for a couple of hours across the street, and just looking in a daze of my uncle under that blanket. For years, I was not myself, of course. When you go through something like that and you witness something like that, your brain it's just scarred in your mind. I think about it now as I've grown older, and it's sad to say that something like that makes you open and say, you know what, it's time to serve God. How you find the Lord in these deepest moments of your life, and I felt like I had no choice but to serve God. By then, I understood that the world had offered me nothing. Before my husband, I was dating a drug dealer. I was with him for a whole year. I was so blinded by love that I didn't see that. And then I met my husband, and he was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. He loved me for me. He helped me, see life for, and just, he's always been my best friend. He's always been my he always makes my life make sense. We've been together so long that I can't imagine my life without him. He's always been my encourager. He's always been my backbone. He's always been, my cheerleader, telling me that I can succeed in anything I put my mind to. And I praise God because without that beginning of that route of losing my uncle, I don't think I ever would have found the Lord. I would never thought of surrendering my life to him at that year. It took me a whole year to finally say, I accept what happened. And it's so funny how the Lord works. He plants one seed and he says, this is the beginning of your testimony to come. I praise God because without that one door of his just his pastors, his majesty of what my life is, it took my uncle to pass away for me to realize the life that God has given me. But I had to go through that, and it was hard. It was hard to say, you lose your uncle, and it so happened that he was a heart of the family, and how things went kind of rocky afterwards. And to say that you're grateful because of that happened, because it opened so many new doors, and it helped me find the Lord, it's hard. It's really hard. I wish, I miss my uncle dearly. But I praise God that, he used something so tragic and he used it for a beautiful story to come. And in 2011 was my next biggest storm ever. I faced, I had hit a rocky road with, when I was dating my husband. And this is the first time I ever speak of it in public. Something it took years for me to be okay to speak about and say, this is who I am. It was a rocky situation between me and my husband when we were dating. We couldn't understand who we were becoming. And I thought we were growing apart because we've been together. Like I said, we've been together since we were 16 together, and now we're both 25. We've been together so long that I thought we were growing apart from each other. And in 2011, I had met somebody in college, and we were great friends. And I was serving God. I was only, I think, 21 or 22. And, I was, because I surrendered my life and pretty much at 19 years old. But the Lord was already working with me at the age of 17 when my uncle had passed. And I knew that I was trying to find my relationship with the Lord. I was trying to build it up, and I didn't know that the Lord was going to use this next situation to really grab my attention. I knew a lot of my thinking wasn't right. I was still trying to do things my way. And me and my husband were of course we were dating at the time, and we were talking about marriage, and I was pressuring him, and he was saying no, not yet, because I'm not stable at work yet. I'm just barely starting at this new job, and I don't know where it's gonna go, and I need you to wait. When a girl wants to get married, she's determined to find marriage. She starts to think, in a fleshy mind, maybe he don't want me, maybe he don't love me, and we were arguing nonstop about stupid things, immaturity, and mind you, I was only 21, 22 years old. So I was a young adult trying to find my life. And see, guys, when I was younger, I was stubborn. I was very stubborn. If I didn't get my way, mind you, I will find my way. And I will do things without thinking. I will overthink things. I was just whatever. But it's so funny how the Lord could really use those kind of people and show them a whole different atmosphere of what God can really do. So I had met this guy, and we were best friends for a few months. We have grown very close. And I was bringing him to the Lord and, making him realize, hey, you need to come back to the Lord. And, this is my husband, boyfriend. And, he met my husband at the time. And my husband knew, like, you know what, there's something weird going on. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, I don't think this guy really sees you as a friend. I think there's something more than that. And I was like, whatever. And mind you, we were having problems. And within the next few months later, during the holidays, this friendship turned to more than a friendship. Things started getting out of hand, and we started seeing each other more than as friends. And we started, talking on the phone more, started meeting each other in person and hanging out more. And it's funny because my husband knew. My husband accepted me for all who I am. Everything that, this friendship that turned into a relationship within a 5-month period, things really did get out of hand. And the devil really uses situation, and he made it so chaotic that I understand why I had to go through this. And I'm not going to sit here and go detail by detail of what exactly went on, but what I'm trying to get is that I did some really bad things. But the thing is that God uses these kind of situations to bring us in. In other words, that life is not on a silver platter. It's not. What we see on TV, these celebrities, it's not about that. I think a beautiful life is when you and your partner, or just you or yourself, you face these challenges in life and you overcome them. But the thing is, when you overcome them, the Lord is there. The Lord is there. The Lord brings you out of those storms, and you become somebody, and you gain so many new qualities because of the storm. So this storm from 2009 to 2013, it took me a whole year to finally say, I love my husband again. I see my husband for who he is. And my husband accepted me back for all the things I've done wrong to him. This friendship and this person, I wish I could have stayed his friend, because today I still love him as a friend, But like my husband says, if we had a chance to redo what happened between me and him and my husband in the middle, He said he'll do it all over again, the same way. And I think the way he says that is because of this one situation. The life that I live with God and him, my husband, is unbelievable. Because after what happened with this person, I was legally on the floor. For a whole year, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm worthy. Things really did get out of hand, but thank God I didn't at the time I didn't lose my purity. But it was getting there. I don't hate this person. I don't. I understand that it was a spirit that between me and this person we were battling with. I wanted marriage. He wanted marriage, this person. And I was not trusting God. I was taking action for myself. But I praise God because, like I said, from the very beginning, from losing my uncle, realizing that I needed the Lord, and realizing, through this next storm in 2011, I've gained a new understanding in the Lord. I learned that I needed to seek more intimacy with the Father. I saw life through a whole new pair of eyes. I've gained an awesome marriage. I've gained an awesome love. I've gained to be more determined than ever. I've gained a strong backbone that I live on. I've gained so much. It's like I'm legally biting into a Hershey bar every day. It's the best way I can describe it to you. And it's because God had mercy on me. I felt like God, through this whole timeline and this life experience, God's been standing there the whole time, and he permits things to happen. But the thing is that he tells the enemy, okay, stop. That's enough. Now go back to whatever you were doing before and leave my child alone, because that's all I needed you to do for this time being. Because there are some things that she needed to realize. She needs to realize this in me. And God just swoops in and he says, I've been here the whole time. I remember the Lord telling me, don't do this because you're going to be regretting it. It's going to hurt you bad. And I didn't listen. I disobeyed the mouth of the Lord. I remember that day. I was taking a shower and I heard it clear as day. Don't do it. Don't pursue this relationship. But knowing that I've come from dirt and coming back up and facing life and reconquering that I still can succeed, and seeing that if I put my whole life 100% in the Lord will be there no matter what. He used me. Now the thing is that you might say, Chrissy, your little trial ain't nothing compared to mine. True. But this is what God's given me. This is my life testimony. It might not be able to encourage you. Your story might give me more influence to be more encouraged. But the thing is that your testimony and my testimony, everything we've gone through, all the suffering, all the hurting, all the anger, all the, whatever we felt in that storm, in that torment, we both felt the same thing. We both seeked for healing. It don't matter what story we got. It's still rooted by one thing. Either it's healing, forgiveness, humbleness, love, mercy, seeking righteousness and healing. it's still the same root in the Lord. It don't matter what it is. But the thing is that, guys, we have to go through things in life. We have to. If we don't go through things in life, then we're so selfish-minded that we've created this whole life for ourselves. So what do we gain from that? We don't gain nothing. But the thing is that when we say, Lord, I give it all to you, God says, trust me, and I will show you great and mighty things that you never thought of. But the thing is, storms are going to come in because he's making a brand new you. He's making the person you don't have the capability to become. But these storms, if we just stand still and we stand firm, because a lot of people say first thing, I don't want to serve the Lord because we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't have fun. And in serving God, there's just too many storms. Everything's supposed to be, nice and handy and dandy and beautiful. Okay. What do you gain from that? I'd rather have my life chaotic in the Lord, because the more chaotic is the more blessings behind it. The more storms is the more blessings that I can't find. Nobody in this world can give me but God. I'm an overcomer. I am sober from all my mistakes. I found forgiveness and healing, and I wake up with my partner every morning, my husband, because I know what me and my husband's gone through. But as a young child, at 17 years old, it took that one door to open for me to surrender it all to the Lord, and that was to lose my uncle, and that's when my whole story started. But beforehand, I was just living with 2 feet to 2 masters, 2 feet inside and out, and serving 2 masters, and just thinking, oh, God's always going to forgive me. Until I had a rude awakening, and then I had a next rude awakening, and now I battle it with every day. It's knocking at my door every day to go back to, like the word of God says, to dog's vomit. Your sin is old vomit, and it's always battling with my spirit. I refuse to go back. Through God, I've come a long ways. I trust God 100%. I could be like the story of Job, lose it all, but I'll still be standing. I've come, the Lord has brought me so much through this life that it's come to that. Tomorrow, God forbid, if He gives me another trial in life, so be it. Let's do this, Lord. Because I already know who my God is. I stand for the Lord. Guys, I hope you found something through this message tonight. And believe me, trying to release this for the very first time to y'all, it's taking a lot out of me. Believe it or not. And I hope it makes some kind of sense, because, I'm not being detailed, but I shouldn't have to be detailed. The bottom line is that each of us have a testimony, and through our testimony, we become beautiful, beautiful stories. And because of our stories, a lot of us keep it hidden, and we need to let it go. And we need to let it do what it's meant to do. And that is to save lives, because there's a lot of people in this world that needs help. And if you feel like, you haven't surrendered your life to the Lord, just take a chance. I guarantee you won't regret it. Look at me. I'm not a lost cause. The Lord has granted me so much. I wouldn't imagine any life but this life. Y'all be blessed.